Most people cannot picture Las Vegas without the neon, without the massive casino resorts, the fountains, the crowds, the spectacle. But there was a time when Las Vegas was nothing but dust, railroad tracks, and a handful of people trying to survive in the middle of the Mojave Desert. What happened between then and the Las Vegas we know today is one of the strangest transformation stories in American history. And most of it unfolded faster than anyone expected. Before the casinos, before the Strip, before Elvis and the Rat Pack and the billion-dollar resorts, Las Vegas was a tiny railroad stop in southern Nevada, a place where trains refueled and travelers passed through without looking back. The population in 1900 was barely a few dozen people. There was no glamour, there was no entertainment, there was just desert, heat, and the occasional dust storm rolling through a landscape that most Americans had no reason to visit. The town was officially founded in 1905 when the San Pedro, Los Angeles, and Salt Lake Railroad auctioned off 110 acres of land. People came for the railroad jobs, not for excitement. The early settlement had dirt roads, wooden buildings, a few saloons, and the kind of frontier roughness that defined small western towns. Water was scarce, summers were brutal. Temperatures regularly exceeded 110 degrees. Nobody in 1905 would have believed that this patch of scorched earth would become the entertainment capital of the world. The first real change came in the 1930s with the construction of Hoover Dam. Thousands of workers flooded into the region. These men were building one of the largest engineering projects in American history, and they needed somewhere to spend their wages. Boulder City, the town built for dam workers, banned gambling and alcohol. So the workers drove 30 miles to Las Vegas. The town was more than happy to take their money. Saloons, gambling halls, and places of entertainment sprang up along Fremont Street. This was the beginning of Las Vegas as a destination, though it looked nothing like what it would become. Fremont Street in the 1930s and the 1940s was the heart of Las Vegas. This was downtown before the Strip even existed. The street was lined with small casinos, hotels, and bars. Neon signs were just beginning to appear, glowing against the desert night. The famous Pioneer Club, with its enormous cowboy sign, Vegas Vic, became an icon. The hotels were modest. The gambling halls were loud and smoky. Cowboys, railroad workers, dam builders, and the occasional tourist mixed together in a town that was still finding its identity. Nevada had legalized gambling in 1931, and Las Vegas was one of the few places in America where a person could legally place a bet. This gave the town an edge that nowhere else in the country could match. But it was not yet the polished corporate gambling industry of later decades. These were small operations, often run by locals, with simple table games and slot machines that paid out in coins. The atmosphere was raw and unrefined. There were no dress codes, no velvet ropes, no VIP lounges, just cards, dice, and the sound of coins hitting metal trays. The transformation of Las Vegas into something truly extraordinary began after World War II. Soldiers who had trained at nearby military bases remembered the desert town with legal gambling and few rules. Some came back. More importantly, a new breed of entrepreneurs saw opportunity in the Nevada desert. In 1941, the El Rancho Vegas opened on what would become the Las Vegas Strip, a stretch of highway south of downtown. It was the first resort hotel on the Strip, offering a swimming pool, a showroom, and a casino all in one location. The concept was revolutionary. Instead of just a gambling hall, visitors got an entire experience. Then came Bugsy Siegel and the Flamingo in 1946. The mob involvement in Las Vegas is well documented, but what often gets overlooked is how the Flamingo changed the vision of what Las Vegas could be. Siegel wanted something glamorous, something that felt like Hollywood in the desert. The Flamingo was extravagant by the standards of the time, with lush landscaping, a massive pool, and a showroom that attracted genuine stars. It struggled at first, and Siegel's story ended violently, but the Flamingo established a template. Las Vegas was no longer just a dusty gambling town. It was becoming a destination for entertainment and luxury. Through the 1950s, the Strip transformed rapidly. The Desert Inn, the Sands, the Sahara, the Riviera, and the Dunes all opened within a few years of each other. Each one tried to outdo the last. The architecture was bold and futuristic, with soaring signs, dramatic entrances, and themes that transported visitors to exotic places. This was the era of Googie architecture, space-age design with sweeping curves and massive neon signs that turned the desert highway into a corridor of light. If you are enjoying this journey through the history of Las Vegas and want to explore more stories about how iconic American places were built, consider subscribing. There are so many more chapters of history waiting to be uncovered. The 1950s also brought an unexpected attraction to Las Vegas. The Nevada test site, located just 65 miles northwest of the city, was where the United States government was detonating nuclear weapons. The mushroom clouds were visible from downtown Las Vegas. Instead of evacuating, the city embraced the spectacle. Hotels advertised atomic viewing parties. Casinos hosted dawn cocktail events where guests could watch the blasts from rooftop lounges. There were Miss Atomic Energy beauty pageants. Las Vegas turned nuclear testing into a tourist attraction. It sounds unbelievable now, but it captured the fearless and reckless spirit that defined early Las Vegas. The Rat Pack era of the late 1950s and the 1960s cemented Las Vegas as the entertainment capital of the world. Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., Peter Lawford, and Joey Bishop performed together at the Sands Hotel. Their shows were legendary, a blend of music, comedy, and improvisation that made audiences feel like they were witnessing something exclusive and unrepeatable. The Rat Pack brought Hollywood glamour to the desert. Celebrities flocked to Las Vegas. The city became synonymous with sophistication, cocktails, and late nights that never seemed to end. Elvis Presley arrived in Las Vegas in 1969 and became the biggest act in the city's history. His residency at the International Hotel, later the Las Vegas Hilton, drew massive crowds and established the model for the Las Vegas residency that continues today. Elvis, in a white jumpsuit performing to packed showrooms, became one of the most iconic images of the city. But Las Vegas before the mega resorts looked fundamentally different from the Las Vegas of today. The casinos were smaller, more intimate. The owners often knew their high rollers by name. The mob still had significant influence in many properties. The city had a rougher edge, a sense that anything could happen and often did. The desert surrounded everything. Step off the Strip and within minutes there was nothing but sand, scrub brush, and open sky. Neighborhoods where Las Vegas residents actually lived were modest. Small ranch houses with gravel yards instead of grass, because maintaining a lawn in the desert was nearly impossible. Air conditioning was becoming standard, and without it, summer life would have been unbearable. The locals knew the city behind the neon. They shopped at small grocery stores, sent their kids to schools that were struggling to keep up with the population growth, and worked shifts at the casinos that powered the economy. The workforce that built Las Vegas was diverse but divided. African American entertainers could perform on stage at the big casinos, but were not allowed to stay at the hotels or gamble on the floor. Sammy Davis Jr. performed to standing ovations, but had to enter through the kitchen. The Moulin Rouge, which opened in 1955 as the first integrated casino, was a breakthrough, but it closed within months. The desegregation of the Strip did not happen until the early 1960s, and it took sustained pressure from civil rights activists and the economic reality that segregation was bad for business. Water was always a concern. Las Vegas sits in the Mojave Desert, and the city's growth depended entirely on the water supply from Lake Mead, created by Hoover Dam. In the early decades, nobody worried much about water because the population was small. But as Las Vegas grew, the tension between a desert environment and an ever-expanding city became one of the defining challenges of its existence. By the late 1960s and into the 1970s, Las Vegas was entering a new era. Howard Hughes arrived in 1966, buying up casinos and helping push the mob out. Corporate ownership began replacing the old guard. The Nevada legislature passed laws allowing publicly traded companies to own casinos, and this changed the financial structure of the entire city. The days of mob-controlled backrooms were fading, replaced by boardrooms and shareholders. What defined Las Vegas before everything changed was a combination of audacity, reinvention, and a willingness to build something extraordinary in a place where logic said nothing should exist. A railroad stop became a dam town became a gambling hall became a playground for the Rat Pack, and that playground became the foundation for the mega resort era that would transform the Strip into what the world recognizes today. For those who remember the old Las Vegas, the one with smaller casinos, personal service, real characters running the show, and a desert that pressed in on every side, it was a place unlike anywhere else on Earth. It was raw, ambitious, glamorous, and a little dangerous. And it was all built on a gamble that a city could thrive in the middle of nowhere. For those with a curiosity about how America's most unlikely places came to be, there is always more history to explore.